Test. Okay. Okay, sweet. All right. I think we're good to go. Get some paint on the page. Doing some brown and neon yellow, which is always a little bit scary because darker colors can be weird. Let's see. If we do the brown first and the yellow over top, I think we can probably manage it. Famous last words. Yeah. We shall see. Cool. All right, so we'll let all that dry. Off to the side while see if we can't come up with some new ideas. One of my favorite ways to come up with new ideas is kind of how this stream works. It's sort of broken up into 3 pieces. Hey, what's up, Ozzy? Welcome to the stream. The first part of the stream, we're going to write out a couple of tables with seemingly random stuff. I'm going to sort of theme it. I'm going to give us a prompt. And the second part of the stream is rolling on those combinations and seeing where those ideas take us. Pretty basic rolling. And then the third part, I'll go back to that painted page and actually draw it. So prompt-wise, to kick us off, we will do a D100 roll since we're writing on 730. The right-hand side of the page will roll on my list of prompts here at the back. And a 31. 31 gives us rain slick surface. Rain slick surface. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything on its own, but it will lead us toward a couple of ideas. So let me put rain slick surface up there. Ozzy, do I play anything other than D&D? I've played other, if you're talking about like tabletop stuff, I've played other games. I've not really run other games, though I hope to change that soon. But yeah, I play lots of other stuff on the weekends. Like tomorrow night, I'll be picking up Fallout. Been trying to work through some games. I like puzzle games. I like board games. Yeah, I play lots of different stuff. Okay, so a rain slick surface makes me think of the elements impacting something, and making something more difficult either to traverse or maybe difficult for like a fight to happen. So I'm gonna follow that line of thinking. So, first sentence that we're going to use to complete the sentence and make a D8 list, a list 8 long. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the blank. So I'll put that up on the screen. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the blank. So this could be navigating around in a certain type of dungeon, or like a small environment. It could be a large environment. It could be navigate even something that's difficult. Maybe it's normally difficult to navigate like the rooftops, but normally we wouldn't have any trouble with that. It could be a long distance across the sea or across the desert. It could be some means of travel, hopping through. I'm going to use that actually. Normally we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the four, what's a good name for, like, I'm imagining like doors in tree trunks. I'm going to say forest portals. So we're starting off pretty high magic right out of the gate. But I also like the tops of buildings. So I'm going to say the capital city rooftops. Normally we wouldn't have any trouble navigating. We could use the sea. But what about the sea? The desolate. Hey Cube, the crystal canyons. I like it. Can't beat that. Crystal canyons, capital city rooftops, the forest portals. We could do like the desolate sea, the endless sea, like something about it that makes it, peculiar. Lake of the Spice stock markets. It's a good twist. It's a good twist. I like it. That's a fun twist. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the forest portals, the capital city rooftops, the crystal canyons, the spice trading markets. We could navigate like the difficult social customs. How about the like the merfolk's strange customs? Hey Willow, the dead marsh. Yeah. Now, question is dead marsh or would living marsh? Which one would be more? Which one would be worse? I don't know. But I'm gonna use dead marsh. The fungal marsh, swampy fungi swamps. That's definitely the sign. That's that when the carnival shows up, that's the sign that they put up. Navigating the empty streets. So we have the forest portals, we have the rooftops, the canyons, the trading market, odd customs, the dead marsh. opinions in the Senate. That's good. Instead of empty streets, what if we how about the flooded sewers? How about a desert? Either icy desert or hot sandy desert. Like a long distance. What are the waterways called in Paris? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Or you're thinking of the thinking of Venice. That'd be really fun. It'd be really fun to build. I need to think about that. Maybe I'm kind of already doing that with my docks project, but it'd be fun to build sort of an elevated city on the water. At the risk of this number 8 sounding like a Banjo-Kazooie level, I think I'm going to write down Dizzying Desert Sands. All right, so we've got our first sentence, first list, first table put together. Hey, DC Village Ruins, I like that. Okay, so the first sentence, normally we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the place that needs to be navigated. Second sentence, that was until they became filled with blank. So we used to be able to navigate that until they became filled with blank. So things can fill up with people, with threats, can fill up with things that make it difficult to see. Monsters, certainly. Weird properties, the elements. I mean, this whole thing started with the rain slick surface inspiration, so certainly storms would get in the way most places. So the types of things that are going to make they're going to sort of like corrupt a place, which is maybe too heavy a word. So we want to put the first list out of our minds because we don't want anything to match and connect too well. We want to create actually things that don't necessarily fit together until they were filled with treachery. Until they became filled with like occult symbols. That was true until they were filled with, I mean, just so I'm a big fan of ooze. Stick an ooze in an early dungeon. Players are going to remember that. Could fill it with bugs or some sort of disease. But what if we took the inverse of that? What if a space was filled with just an entire species moves in, right? That was until they were filled with just, how about a well-meaning neighborhood, or an oblivious filled with what's the right way to phrase this? I'm imagining like just a well-meaning group that is completely unaware. A well-meaning but unaware. Willow, deadly sickness. I like it. Invisible fire, that qualifies. Some rowdy teenagers. I'm gonna say invisible killers. Whatever the heck that means. Yeah. Whenever I think of meddling teenagers, rowdy, whatever, in a D&D context, I always go to like the idea of young like wizards in training would have to be just like the most obnoxious thing. But it would be a thing that the world is constantly having to deal with and probably create laws around. It's like, can't listen. You cannot practice within this. We can't have you practicing magic this close to a town. It's just not smart. Filled with, we could fill it with bones, we could fill it with bodies, we could fill it with remains. Maybe that's the word, remains. I'm almost thinking like what the giant monster here didn't eat, you know. Stampede, a migration of beasts. That's a good way to put it. Migrating, migrating something. Migrating meddling teenagers. Good. Used to be easy to navigate. That was until they became filled with occult symbols, completely clueless residents, invisible killers, egg sacs, migrating creatures, some sort of object, like abandoned. What could be abandoned? Yeah, like maybe like abandoned, discarded, scattered, like artifacts, or maybe busted magic weapons. The Chariot of the Storm Giants. Ooh, a single out of place object like a top hat or a banjo. How about so for some reason the Storm Giants chariot made me think of like spies. Like somebody's spies, maybe the Giants have sent spies or somebody. And for some reason a single out of place thing makes me think of like illusions or like empty promises. I like it. Yeah, Willow, this is it's called a Midori, Midori, 5-year journal or 5-year diary. It sat on my shelf for probably a year or more before I finally came up with the reason to use it, because I knew that I liked it, but I was like, I want to make, I don't know if you guys relate to this feeling at all, but you know, the nicer a notebook is, the more I'm like, it's got to be, I got to have the right idea for it. I've got to have the right purpose. Okay, we've got our 2 lists. You have a D&D notebook you haven't touched because of the same reason? Yeah, it's a thing. Okay, so next up, we will roll until we use up each of these once in a combination. First, just mention my zines. These are like refined versions of all of this stuff. I kind of take these ideas we kind of throw together here on stream and kind of group them into different kinds of ideas like monster encounters, magic item encounters, you know, shady characters with all of my ridiculous face drawings. And these are available as 2-packs. There are 10 encounters in each one, with a lot more ideas and some examples thrown in and some fun ways to use all of the stuff in here, including a trading sequence with the magic item encounters, which I think is pretty neat. So those are on my shop. Digital or printed. Okay, let's roll. A 3 and an 8. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the Crystal Canyons. That was until they were filled with the King's spies. Okay. This one, while it doesn't require a stretch, this one tells an interesting story, right? There's something going on in the Crystal Canyons that has led to the King's spies being there. Suggests to me that this location has become a place where resources have been mined, like something has been found, maybe this particular crystal or some element there is being used to arm the enemy, right? And so they're trying to shut down this like weapon supply line. And maybe it has nothing to do with the party at all, but just, you know, they could be misidentified while passing through. Just creates kind of a fun dynamic. I think this might be these tables. It's always tough. I don't know when we're writing them what it's going to end up creating, but I think this will create fun map lore, fun like destinations on a map and like places to visit. Double ones. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the forest portals. That was true until they became filled with occult symbols or cult symbols. Willow, I just saw your note about perfecting your note taking before you use it. I have a video about that. I do have a video about like I'm a DM. I've not been a player very much, but I have. Don't let me forget. There's a video I have out there that's how I would, if I were a player, take notes. Maybe that would inspire you, or be interesting to you in some way. Yeah, the symbols cube, the symbols in the forest are redirecting the destinations. I think that I feel like witches are like a coven is the perfect thing to sort of corrupt the forest, and I like the idea of portal systems, like a system. You know, it's maybe a certain part of the forest is almost like a subway system. You can go lots of these different places, and corrupting the doorways would have some greater effect, right? Um, Making a long chain that you need to follow in order to reach the hideout. Yeah. It could be as simple as the the witches are using sort of the magic that connects these kind of forest doorways. They're like hiding in between the seams, right? So, by exactly what you're talking about, like a certain sequence or some way of using those doors is allowing them to basically have, I'm imagining almost like a coven HQ that's like unstuck from space and time. Like they're in the forest, but they're not. Like, where are they hiding? That'd be a fun way for them to be stashed somewhere. I can do an 8 with a 2. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the dizzying desert sands. And that was until they were filled with completely clueless residents. This would make my wife very happy, because what type of clueless residents could make a home just fine in the dizzying desert sands? Probably mole people, a bunch of talking moles. They don't see well anyway. Right? Maybe they've gone completely blind, and doesn't bother them at all that it's a constant sandstorm. Why would that be the case? They travel different ways. They've managed for years. So it's like, okay, so we need to navigate. We need to make our way through, and then it's just you're stumbling over left and right. Little mole hobbits going about their lives, completely uninterested in any of the adventuring. Can we do 5 and 3? Nope, it was a 3. I promise. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the merfolk's odd customs. And that was true until they became filled with invisible killers. Okay, so the word phrasing here is kind of clunky, but that's okay. The merfolk community. So now we've got civilizations kind of side by side. We've got maybe the capital city or a fishing community that lives in peace times with the merfolk. Invisible killers could just be, we don't know who's doing it, but all of the clues point to the merfolk. Like, someone is trying to pull the strings and put these two sides against one another. Or maybe it's just a matter of keeping them distracted, because as long as they're, suspicious of each other, they're not going to notice maybe some people who are digging up some treasure along the cliffs or something like that. That's how I would use those ideas, I think. 6 and, let's see, a 2 and a 6. I'll switch it around. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the capital city rooftops. That was true until they became filled with busted magic weapons. Okay. So, this would be a great, this is just a great visual, a fun thing to imagine. But it's like, okay, yeah, welcome to the Assassin's Guild, or maybe they do some sort of thievery or something, and they're like, well, things have gotten tougher these past few months because I don't know if you, we don't use the rooftops anymore because they're too unpredictable. I don't know if you know that Wizard's Tower exploded last winter, and when it did, it sent a bunch of fragments all over the city. Well, most of these things are scattered amongst the rooftops, hatchets and daggers and half burned spell scrolls. They're like, these things are basically like landmines up there. And then while it's being explained, you hear like some sort of crack and sizzle and explosion. They're like, see, somebody just found another one. They're like, if you are super daring, you can go try to find these things, but they're all damaged. They're all like wild magic, erratic. And so until they more of them disappear, other treasure hunters take them away, or maybe they just kind of run out of steam, run out of magic, we've been grounded. We're stuck to the streets, not the rooftops. Can't use twos. All out of twos. Can we do a 6 and a 4? Yeah. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the dead marsh. And that was true until they became filled with egg sacs. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So this is where the dead marsh becomes the living marsh. It's like, okay, imagine the party, being a couple of days travel into the marshlands and being like, hey, you see what that thing is over there? And it's like, it's mostly submerged under the water, or it's mostly like grown over with moss. And it's like, oh yeah, we can identify that. Identifying it reveals that it's an egg. Oh yeah, I think I've seen something about that. Like that's a creature that it thrives in exactly like the marsh, like, oh yeah, it needs to be sort of in kind of these wet areas. It needs to be mostly quiet, like temperate climate. Humid is good. And oh yeah, here it says that it lays just hundreds of eggs at a time, and it's like actually the entire marsh is filled with them. I ran it'd be fun to revisit it, but I have a map. Basically, I've run sort of an egg-filled kind of aquatic area using like a Minesweeper map. It'd be interesting to revisit that. 2 words, giant chickens, that would work too. 3 with an 8. Can I do? Can't do either of those. Cool. Actually, what can I do? I can do a 4. I can do a 7. I can do a 5. So 4, 5, and 7. Four and a 5. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the spice trading markets. Normally, we wouldn't. That was true until they became filled with migrating creatures. The spice markets. Spice markets full of migrants. So the migrating creatures in this case, like the nature of who's passing through has everything to do with how difficult it would become to do business, to do to work in the spice trade. So it would probably be a group, maybe they're like some kind of elemental adapted creatures that the spices are debilitating. They're basically shut down while these creatures are here, and it's like, yeah, it's basically, who knew that the spice trading would go completely black market underground? But hey, the king decreed, as long as we've got these ambassadors from over the mountains, that like they're toxic to them, and so therefore now we have to do all of our. That would actually be like, that premise is a cute way to get the party kind of doing illegal things without dealing with really dangerous people. Like, hey, why would the party, when they're level 2, be running around doing these like illegal back alley deals? It's like, well, it's because the merchants that are getting into this stuff, they don't know anybody. They know they have to deal illegally, but like it's a mundane reason, but it's still breaking the law, and so the party gets roped into it. That's actually pretty clever. Last one, no rolls needed. Normally, we wouldn't have any trouble navigating the flooded sewers. Yeah, those sound easy to traverse. And that was true until they became filled with empty promises, which I read in this situation as illusions. So the flooded sewers have become filled with illusions, which could be somebody hiding something, right? Maybe it's unclear how, like, do one of those things where it's like you don't even know how many levels of illusions are going on. Like, the sewers haven't been flooded in years, right? Or maybe something kind of fell down, or sometimes I'll do this where it's like leaked down into the sewers. Maybe somebody's doing magic somewhere and experiments, lab work, and they don't realize that that's sort of running off into the sewers, and that's causing all of this wild stuff to happen. Maybe somebody is having dreams, and those dreams are like projecting into the sewers and leading people down into them after these, like, you know, supposedly wonderful things, and people are basically drowning in the sewers. Hey, but just a bunch of shit down here. They lied to us. Kind of, right? Like, imagine if, like, this is almost like a whole plot line that could sort of be like Russian dolled down into. It's like it starts out with like, hey, we need, you know, put it on the quest board. We need somebody to deal with this. People keep showing up drowned in the sewers, and we think people might be dumping them, right? Or we don't know. None of these people have any business down in the sewers. And you find them, and it's like, well, yeah, they'd been taking excursions down in there because they believed there was something down there. And the party goes down, and they find all these crazy wild illusions, and it ultimately just tracks back to somebody having these dreams and then being sort of projected into this network of tunnels underneath the city. That might be my favorite idea from today. I would use that. Cool. There we go. Another one in the book. Now, need to put it in this book. Get that out of the way. Let us see here. From all of this, what will I draw? We have forest portals. That could be fun. Ooh, rooftops. Yeah. Capital City rooftops. Crafted a lot of rooftops. I'm wondering if I could draw one. That could be neat. Crystal Canyons. Spice Trading Market. Merfolk. Marsh. Flooded sewers. Desert sands. Occult symbols. Invisible killers. Zigzags. Migrating creatures. Busted magic weapons. Okay. I think I know. I think I know what I'm going to try. I think I know. Hey, Novice, thanks for the likes. Well, I am drawing up some rooftops for these tables we came up with around difficult to navigate spaces. So one of them were city rooftops. So making some kind of a shingled roof here. Like maybe I'll do one that kind of looks like a guard tower next to it. Which is kind of interesting to do. It's like I'm drawing something. It's like I've crafted roofs like this a bunch. I'm not sure I've ever tried to draw one. What's my take on going full-time as a dungeon master? Well, I mean, in general, my take on anything that you love doing is it can be really worthwhile trying to make it what you do, right? I think that there's probably a lot to it, you know. Probably a lot of different things rather than one thing. It's not that they're, you know, because basically what that means, if you're doing that, means that you're just taking on, right? Like you're gonna do it yourself. You're not gonna get paid every 2 weeks. You're gonna try to find ways to get paid, which means you're probably gonna need to do a bunch of different stuff. It's probably gonna be being a dungeon master. You might need to do content. You might need to do writing. You might need to do, you know, commission work. Like, I don't know, all sorts of things. If you're asking like if I mind, like I don't mind at all that people out there get paid to run the game. I think that's totally fine. You know, there's a market for it. So why not? There are so few dungeon masters in comparison to all the people that want to play the game. So it makes sense that there would be a market there. I also don't imagine it would be easy to do. But oftentimes things that are worth doing aren't easy, so. What about you, Novice? What are your thoughts on it? Cool. I might need to draw more rooftops because that's actually a lot of fun. Might just need to do that. Maybe another time. All right, cool. Another one in the book. Solid. And I think, am I crazy? No, we got one more. Okay. Very nearly did the whole month here, which is pretty neat. Nice. And look, I'm even doing it all in the same orientation this time. How special is that? Thanks everybody for the great ideas, for hanging out. I think I'm gonna come back on in a little bit and I don't know, either craft or paint some miniatures, but I've got some miniature work to do, so we might be messing with yeah, a bunch of printed minis. We'll see, but either way, catch you guys next time. Thank you, thank you. All your base truly are belong to us. You're right. Wise words indeed.